Hang on, brothers and sisters. Liberation is near. It's almost time.
Alright, what's up? We're back. It's the Shetler Show. Today's guest is Steve Rodriguez, New York's finest. As always, we got Ramsey too. He's here helping us out. We got some weird noises in the background again.
A little bit of wind. Might
be the phone too, though. Alright, yeah. Steve R has an atomic phone apparently, and it doesn't like the mic. The first sponsor is Solstice Skate Shop. Steve's back in it.
I am back in it.
Steve knows Jay. Good
Since back in the day.
Yeah, man.
Since the original location. I still got the stickers with the... What is it? What was it, on William Street, or what was the other street?
It's on William Street now. It was on Union.
Union, yeah.
Second floor. And did you go in and they had the Solstice in flames in the window?
Yeah.
I think Martin graffitied that. It was pretty crazy.
Back in the day.
So Solstice sponsors this podcast, and Jay's awesome. What's up? We love you.
Yes.
We're going to give a shout out to Olo Clip. They sponsored the podcast. Good people. Kent there. Do you have an Olo Clip?
I do, but actually I got a new phone, so I have to get a new one.
The 5.
So if Ken wants to send me one,
yeah, hook it up.
Shetler knows my address.
I actually have a 5 at my house, and I should have brought it, because then we could have done it. This is the Olo Clip. It's an accessory for your iPhone. You got a fisheye, wide angle, and then if you unscrew it, you got the macro under there, which is pretty cool. So turns your phone into a pretty legit camera. Also, we got World Industries. Check out the website, worldindustries.com. They're my sponsor. Ramsey Baxham, Team Chef.
100%, yeah, TC, baby.
He comes on the trips with us and cooks for everyone and pretty much handles business.
Awesome.
If you checked out the Tampa Am, did you see him on there? The
live
webcast? Yeah.
That's sick.
We're going down to the Pro too, and we're going to do some doer pies and whatnot.
I'll see you down at the Pro. I'll be down there.
Alright, yeah. You want to start out with a question? Want to get into it?
Sure, yeah. I'll start off with Tim Savage, the homie, Cape Cod.
Oh yeah.
Says, how long was the team filming for the latest fiveboro video, Join or Die?
I'd say it was about from beginning to end, because we kept pushing back when the release would be. I'd say it was probably 4 years.
Damn.
But it wasn't 4 years of footage, basically, because, as you film, you keep getting stuff that's, better and better, or someone else might do a trick, so you're like, oh, we can't use that. But I would say the time when we basically said, okay, we're going to make a video till when Tombo decided, okay, this is it, we're done.
Got enough.
It was probably about 4 years.
Sick.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say about 4 years.
Yeah, the video came out amazing.
Yeah,
congrats.
Awesome, thanks.
Awesome.
It's all Tombo and Nardelli. Like, the last 2 years have been just dedicating so much time to fiveboro, especially the video. Everything from the music to how it was released to the party to everything. They really just next level.
Yeah.
So it
Nardelli's
was amazing.
awesome, dude.
Yep.
How is he? He's good?
He's good. Yeah,
He's in the city?
He's in the city. He's actually across. The fiveboro office is actually right across the street from here.
Sick.
So maybe after this, stop by. I know he'll definitely be there.
Oh, we can go tonight?
Yeah.
All right, we're doing that for sure.
Right across the street, and he's always there. If he's not there, he's either on the road hustling or just always constant hustle.
Yeah.
That's Nardelli.
He works hard, man. I know that, man. Does he go to any of the demos anymore? Is he still...
No, definitely.
He's on the road?
I'd say he probably goes to more demos than I do now. You know what I mean? Really, where he definitely... If something's local or something like when... I know he went on the trip to Philly that I didn't go on. So he's definitely... he's still getting out there.
Yeah, and I think... Because I talk about fiveboro a lot, because that's where I started out with my career in skating, was fiveboro helped me get to where I'm at.
Right.
And wherever I go, I'm always like, you need to have a presence like fiveboro does at every demo.
Right.
And that presence I'm speaking of is Nardelli.
Right.
Where some asshole comes in and he just shrieks like a wild bat, and everyone looks at him and is like, who the hell's that dude?
Right,
and then he's wearing fiveboro, but he's the nicest, raddest dude.
And you'll always remember.
Yeah, you'll never forget, dude. Every demo we ever did, man, either it ended by us peeling out and honking the horn and getting the kids all hyped, or Nardelli just being the wild man that he is. So I miss that guy. We're gonna go bother him. You met Nardelli?
Yeah, I met him once at the Maloof Cup.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But I think he was being behaved.
Yeah, he was mellow.
Yeah.
I think he was told to be mellow.
Sometimes he mellows out. I'm surprised. All right, we're gonna switch it up to a Facebook question. Hey, who asked that? Oh, Tim Savage.
Tim
that's
Savage.
Right. All right. Parker Wilson wants to know: were Steve's parents backing him 100% when he first started skateboarding?
I would say definitely no.
Well, it's a whole different generation too.
Yeah, I don't know. It was
different.
Early 80s, and I don't know, back then it was kind of like, I don't even think when I first started skateboarding, my parents knew I started skateboarding. That's how skateboarding wasn't like a thing. You know what I mean?
It's not like a sport.
Yeah, so it wasn't like, oh, if I'd start, because I actually was first like a BMXer. That's what I got into.
Yeah.
And my parents, like when I wanted a new BMX bike, they totally backed it. You know, they're like, oh yeah, let's go. I remember specifically going to this bike shop, getting a red line bike, and my parents were like, oh, here, you did good in your grades or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then I got my bike, I was all psyched. But it's actually the BMXing that brought me to skateboarding, because my best friend at the time was a skater.
Who's this?
I was this kid, Steve Mayer.
Oh, okay.
And he's, I don't think, only like the locals from where I grew up would know who he is. You know what I mean? Like,
where was this?
This was in Homedale, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically had a quarter pipe in his, driveway, stuff like that. And I would go over there kind of like with my bike to ride it,
To break his quarter pipe.
No, because, yeah, basically. Yeah. And he had a skateboard, and it was sort of like, I would like try his skateboard, and I remember literally in his driveway there was a blacktop driveway, like asphalt, and there was a hole from where like all the oil and stuff ate it away.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I stepped on a skateboard, like learning how to tic-tac around that hole.
Oh, sick.
Like I remember that so clearly. But anyway, back to back to the question. So my dad, like as I got more and more into skateboarding, my dad was very traditional. He totally didn't support it. And my mom was like, I think she was okay with it, but it was more like an unknown. And when something's an unknown, they're kind of like, what am I supporting? What am I, why is he going through so many shoes? Why is he staying out so late?
Yeah.
Like all these kind of questions. And it was just something normal at the time for me, all my friends. And back then, yeah, I think it was more seen as something that was a little more like rebellious, where today it's something a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
So yes, you were always like put in, oh, that was the kid who did this bad thing, and he's a skateboarder. You know what I mean? So
skateboarders were the drug addicts and the riffraffs.
Yeah,
that's the image. Anyway.
Yeah, it was but I'd say back then it was like very true. It was. It totally was. Where there was
maybe
like
today too.
Yeah, certain areas, that were like, oh, those aren't the good kids, and I don't want to say they weren't the good kids, because they were the kids that were like doing something different or whatever. So
yeah,
I could totally understand why.
So now, looking forward now, did you ever talk to your parents now and be like,
oh, all the time.
Get it?
I'm really close with my parents, and I think I would really say like, for them it was just like, because it became something normal, and then my dad would send me like articles in the newspaper, I'd be like, something about skateboarding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then his thing was always like, sending me an article in like the New York Times or something like that.
Yeah.
He's very business oriented and business minded. And then when I got an article in the New York Times, I sent it to him. I was like, oh, check this out. You know what I mean? So for him, that I felt like that was like there was nothing.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, that's the acceptance. It's okay now.
You've crossed over into his world.
Right, totally. So I don't know. And when I had my company, it was definitely, my dad helped me with a lot of the financial stuff with my, with fiveboro in the beginning.
Getting it started and stuff.
Yeah, well, more like, as you know, when you start a company, you have to deal with taxes. You have to deal with figuring out all the stuff that you never did before. And if you're like a small company, you can't afford an accountant. And my dad knew a lot about accounting. You know what I mean? Yeah. He helped me out. So he knew as much about the business as anybody else knew. Because he was doing the books.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of cool. So I just see in that respect him, supporting it, giving back. In a way, he was doing the books for fiveboro.
I mean, you would have had to hire someone. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was pretty psyched in it. And then, obviously as skateboarding became popular, more mainstream, my mom would be like, oh yeah, my son's a skateboarder. Or before she'd be like, oh, I don't think, he just has a skateboard.
Yeah, that's right, man.
But I think eventually parents come around when they realize you really truly have passion for something and you love it, and it's something that's even though it might not be productive in their world, in your world it's kind of all that matters.
Yeah, and your parents always want to see you happy, so if they eventually get that that's what really makes you happy, they'll come around and be like, okay, it's this love, this passion.
Yeah.
A question from me is, do you have any team riders that were ever like, their parents weren't into it and you had to kind of talk to the parents and be like, he's doing a good thing?
I would definitely say that. But it's usually not, it's usually for other reasons. Like, for instance, I don't know, throw some names out there. Like C.J. Dixon, who is someone that rode for us who rides for Birdhouse now.
Oh yeah.
He, I actually talk with his mother a lot, to explain like, oh, this is how it works, this, that, and the other thing. And, she was always stressing school with him and stuff like that. And as you know, I'm totally 100%. I always tell everybody stay in school.
You
blah,
can
blah,
do
blah.
both.
So yeah, you can do.
Think you can,
yeah, you
but-
can do both. You have something to fall back on if skateboarding doesn't work out. So I'd say that just parents are concerned because they don't know. They know that there's like, oh, you got like Rob Dyrdek, you got all these guys making millions of dollars off skateboarding. So they're just a little concerned, like, okay, so how does this work? Because they know the culture so much of like, okay, you do well in high school, you do well in college, you can, kind of get a good job, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Yeah, hopefully. So they know that, like, that's the normal thing. They're like, okay, they don't know enough about the path and what are the possibilities in skateboarding.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like asking more of like, okay, so how does this work? What is this sponsorship? What do you pay for? This, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, even with like back in the day with Westgate's mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't something that. It's just more like information because it's something that's totally unknown.
Yeah.
You
They
know?
were backing him fully, but they were definitely concerned. Like,
Yeah, they wanna
we
know.
don't know, like, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
It doesn't even, because their generation.
They're like,
and-
why are you like interested in my son here in the middle of nowhere? Like what? Like what are you getting out of this? Because they're thinking like, because there's many elements out there that aren't too good. So they're like, how is this guy trying to exploit my son?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like that. So
Plus, they couldn't see what you saw. They couldn't see, because you skateboard, you saw that little kid's gonna have some amazing pop.
right.
They don't even know what pop is. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? So,
And it is, again, the most difficult thing, and something that I feel like I have good experience with, is being able to translate to adults and people that are outside of our world, like explain to them how our world is and what needs to happen and the different paths and things like that.
yeah.
You know what
I mean, skateboarding had to do that on a whole to mainstream to get where it's at.
Right.
It had to like figure out a way to like be accepted. You
Right.
know? And it's cool that you can do that with your riders, and you've done a good job with your brand. So.
Yeah.
You got more questions?
Yeah.
'Cause I know we got
Speaking
a lot
of
of
the
questions
brand,
for Steve, and I
that's
want to make
fine.
sure they're all.
From Instagram, I got Chris Bird Culata. He says, how does it feel to build your brand from the ground up and watch it grow to be successful, and like what kind of obstacles were you faced with and how did you overcome
This
it?
is before we go. This is my homie Chris from Louisiana,
Awesome.
and he owns a skateboard brand down there called Heartthrob.
Awesome.
Heartthrob Skateboards. He's a really cool dude, man.
So I guess it's like a three-part question. I'd say, how does it feel to start your own brand? I mean, really, the idea of the brand came out of, being in New York City and all these companies out of New York City, but no brands really representing what I thought skateboarding was about and what I wanted to represent. Like, I didn't want to wear something that, represented something that I wasn't into. I wanted to make my own thing.
Your own voice.
You know what I mean?
Your
With
own
my
voice
own
and
crew.
face.
You know what I mean? Because it was a crew, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, we're not really into that. We're into this, but it's not that. So we're into what we're into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd say, seeing something come to fruition and taking it from, your first investment into, 10,000 stickers in 1996. You know what I mean? To seeing what it's become now and where Nardelli's taken it it's unbelievable. Because if you ever think about in your life, what have you ever done for 16 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Besides skateboarding.
Yeah. Besides skateboarding, or because it's another layer on skateboarding, because regardless, I skateboard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Since the early 80s, I've been skateboarding. But then, in 96, when you say like, oh, I want to do this project, like how many people work on a project for 16 years? You know what I mean?
Not that many.
Not that many. So really seeing it unfold and going through, yes, like in the question, the obstacles, like everything financial stuff first, is like that's the biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you never know, is it going to be this cold for a month?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, if you're a small company out of the East Coast, you are definitely at the mercy of the weather during the winter.
It'll make or break it.
There were many times over the years when it was like, this is the last month I can do fiveboro. You know what I mean? Many times, but just always something came through, or you figured something out. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of think about it like a spot. If you go to a spot and it's like, oh, you can't skate it because of that crack or something. It's like we put a little Bondo on it or
Figure it
something.
out.
You know what I mean? It's something, so you just apply you being a skateboarder to what you're doing in the company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being that versatile and, you know, definitely learning from your mistakes and definitely having to make mistakes in order to get educated and learn how to do it better the next time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything from graphics, who you deal with, who your riders are, like problematic riders where this guy's so good but he's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, or this guy is like, he's pretty good, but he's so good with kids. You know what I mean? And he's so good at the demos and he's good with the shop guys. So it's really, you know, living, learning, definitely learning from your mistakes and using all that you did learn to apply it to make the company better and make it grow. And I'd say the best and the thing that you work towards is just to be happy and just to like step back from your brand and look at the brand and realize like, oh, this is something I created and started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you definitely are, you know, you're psyched and, you know, you're proud of it. You're proud of everybody that was involved with it. Like, I don't know, whenever I see you or whenever I see anybody that was ever a part of fiveboro, all those people helped make fiveboro what it is now. Whether or not they ride for fiveboro now, that to me, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you, just as much as like anybody else riding for fiveboro now, made fiveboro what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's something that I feel is a little different with fiveboro, where it's like, okay, you don't ride for us anymore, I don't even want to talk to you. You have nothing to do with this anymore. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like, that is the biggest part of it is the family tree that fiveboro created. You know, people like Susky, I don't know, you know, people that like, to me, really made
more than business.
Yeah, more than it definitely is a family, but people, I can't stress it enough. It's people that you build and form relationships with that you really will have for the rest of your life. Like
Yeah.
I'll know him forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I met you
Yeah.
at Shake Shack, you know what I mean? I knew like, oh, right away because you mentioned his name, you're already part of the family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
that web you make and that family tree is just like something that you know you're building it, and regardless of what happens, that's something that you always take away. So
That's kind of like a model from skateboarding. I mean, you do with your brand like that, but that's like skating too, you know. And
Right.
you meet people and they skateboard, and you're usually like, they're good people if they skateboard, for the most part. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's rad that you translate that and carry that same into your skateboard brand. You know?
Right.
So, but I agree, dude. Everyone I've met on fiveboro, I'll be homies with till the end of the days. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like family for sure, man. It's a good thing to have. I wanted to say it's. When you're talking about a brand and stuff, since I started my brand, I definitely understand what you're saying. Like, you got to make mistakes.
Right.
Team riders, all that stuff. It's funny because like, being a skateboarder and a sponsored skateboarder for so long, I don't even. When I was younger, I'm sure you probably were banging your head against the wall dealing with us because we're just like think we know everything, and you're just like laughing. Because now I look at some of the dudes I deal with, and I'm like, they're good people, but you know nothing.
Right,
Like, we
right,
give my
yeah.
rider Billy. What up, Billy? He's 16.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's 17 now, but every time he said something, we just be like, you're 16, man. You don't know what he's saying. You're 16.
Right,
That's
right.
it. You know what I mean? And I just was like, I'd laugh to myself because I'm like, oh, I feel bad for Steve. Like, he must have looked at me like such an idiot. Because you're young and you don't know how things work and you don't
Right,
understand
right.
where the direction's going and stuff. And it's cool because,
But I think the important thing is that as a business owner, as a company owner, you really need to be able to understand that and work with those people understanding that they are that way.
yeah, you can't forget.
You know
You
what I
can't
mean?
forget that you were 16.
You were the same way.
Yeah.
Like I was the same way. You know, everybody's the same way. You know, everybody was that age once. Everybody messed up, made mistakes,
Yeah.
whatever. So
It's cool.
you just gotta be chill about it, and you know, let people live.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And you got to find some riders that are kind of flexible and want to learn and grow. It's
Yeah.
like I've had some riders that I just realized they weren't going to change or they weren't going to like try to grow. They were just stuck in their ways, and it was like, I can't really help you if you don't want to listen type of
Right.
thing, you know. And it's just like you got to find the right people that are like, okay, yeah, I get where you're at. I get
Yeah.
where you're at, and I might not know everything, but we can go back and forth. If you can
Yeah.
find someone that go back and forth with you, listen to each other, that's the dude for sure. Go ahead, Ramsey. I know there's a lot on Instagram.
Yeah, I got a funny one from tough customers on Instagram. It says, how much bigger is your pushing leg than your front leg?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
This motherfucker pushing through the city, man. When I first got on, I couldn't keep up with this dude. I probably still couldn't to this day. Man.
I think that was the test back in the day.
Yeah.
Just like you had to put everyone through that.
Did you listen to West Gates? Because he's saying the same thing. He's
Really?
like trying to keep up with that dude. Fuck.
I didn't. That's kind of
Fucking
funny.
he flies through the city, man.
But it is bigger. You know what I mean? It's just because I don't don't really skate switch that much, but I don't think it's that much bigger.
How far can you kick a soccer ball?
I have no idea.
To the
I have no idea, but that's funny.
It's probably massive, I believe it.